Hello, fellow creeps and creepettes and creep-suzettes. Come creeping on in to the library here at Horror Hotel for another installment of Creepy Cheapies with Dr. Lady, where we look for cool Halloween masks. I, of course, am Riff Raff. Not the one from Rocky Horror, the one from Underdog. Not the one from the Underdog movie where they just used a dog. The one from the Underdog cartoons who looks like a gangster suit wearing dog who's slightly funny and slightly creepy looking. I'm Matt Riffraff. What was I talking about? Oh yes, masks! Today's mask comes from one of my favorite movies of all time, the original 1982 Creepshow. And it is this good-looking beast here, Fluffy the Crate Beast. Now he might be called Fluffy or he might be called Crate Beast. Because in the movie they don't actually say, oh look, it's Fluffy. That was just sort of a behind the scenes, official name for him for people working on the movie and creating the monster under the auspices of Tom Savini and company. And I think one of the coolest monsters of the 80s, if I may say so, even though he was only featured briefly in that one film. Fluffy is kind of legendary among horror fans for that one episode, which was called The Crate, which was but one of 5 episodes in Creepshow, an omnibus anthology type movie, which inspired some terrible, terrible sequels and a kind of middle of the road, not too bad TV series in 2020, okay, and also inspired a number of other anthology type and comic book type horror movies. Take a look at this monstrosity. Now, other versions of Fluffy the Crate Beast have been done over the years. The first one was from Distortions Unlimited, way back in the 80s, shortly after the film came out. I think it was just 2 or 3 years after Creepshow. There was a mask out from Distortions. However, I wasn't crazy about that one because when I watched the movie, all I really came away with in my memory after seeing this monster was teeth and eyes. And the Distortions mask had his mouth closed and the eyes cut out, so he kind of looked like an old, like he would be a housemate with Yoda, when you take away the teeth and eyes. There was a superb version by Death Studios. There was a not very impressive version by Topstone, but anyway, this one didn't come along until 17 or 18? Yeah, the 17-18 season. Yeah. From the creeps at Trick or Treat Studios. How do we know that? You probably already saw it says Trick or Treat Studios on there. This one was sculpted for you by Justin Mabry, one of the finest mask sculptors working today. And I have to tell you, I did not do anything to this. Sometimes I go back and work on the paint a little, and I add shading and I add detailing to the eyes and ears and so forth. Let's take another look at those eyes. I know I was just zoomed in, but let's take a better look. Look at that! Man, how cool is that? I did not do anything to these eyes, okay? This came from Trick or Treat, right out of the bag, with those awesome looking, scary cat, werewolf, snake, demon, monster looking ghouly eyes. Man, that's cool. And look at that teeth. Much like in the movie, this one has the effect of a monster who's smiling, a monster who is laughing, a monster who enjoys being a monster. And I did not add the blood. This was part of the mask too. Again, this is right out of the bag. It's just been sitting on a shelf here in my house for a while, but there it is. Look at how beautifully detailed this whole thing is. And the teeth really work. They really do appear to have some depth to them. I know some masks just have the teeth like teeth fronts, and you can tell it's packed in with clay or with the finished mask, latex. You can tell you're just seeing fronts of teeth. These really look, for all the world, like teeth. Can you see where see what I'm getting at? Amazing detailing. Now, I know everybody's going to complain, and I know if I don't complain, I haven't done my job as a collector. Yeah, it has to be said, the hair isn't 100% accurate. The hair doesn't look exactly like what was in the film. But it would cost you probably $2,000 to have one that looked exactly like what was in the film, or more. So this guy being available for in the neighborhood of $75 to $85, okay, under $100, I think it's a fine prop replica where they have clearly really studied what the original looked like and tried to recreate every little crevice and nook and cranny and tried to capture the fact that it's not just a big monster with a big mouth. It's a monster with a big mouth and some expression and some fun and some feistiness that makes him seem like a real character. And if you can't live with the hair that the mask comes with, and again, yeah, it should be longer, there should be more of it, etc. If you're not happy with that, you could have the hair replaced, you know. You could send it to my wife, for example, and have her put different hair on it. But really, for $80, look how much hair you're getting on there. The thing is covered pretty well. It's a big mask. It's pretty sturdy. And you're probably thinking, those of you who have watched a lot of Creepy Cheapies are thinking, oh, he's going to put his hand in there and use it as a puppet because it has kind of that look. It kind of does, but not really, because of the tongue being in there and all that gloss on everything. I don't think you want to do the talking Muppet mouth thing, but what a spectacular version of Fluffy, sculpted by Justin Mabry, released by Trick or Treat Studios, and you can see the Creepshow sign right on the tag. Of course, you can take that off if you're going to display it. I like to take the tags off of mine. Some people like to leave the tags on their masks. I find them a little bit distracting. I take them off and then I try to stick them in a drawer somewhere so that if I ever need them at some point, I'll have no idea which drawer I stuck them in and won't be able to find them. That's how I like to do it. Anyway, $80 or so for an awesome replica of Fluffy from Creepshow from Trick or Treat Studios. And you know, I'd give it an enthusiastic thumbs up right now, except he's looking a little feistier than usual to me. I'm afraid he'd bite my thumb off.